Hold up. Why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step. I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bet.
Welcome back, y'all. This is the Double M Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jesus Dinero, here with my co-host,
Puma Elgato.
What do we got going on tonight, my man?
We are talking about the main event for UFC 322 for the welterweight title, Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev. Let's talk about it.
Listen, man, we all know that obviously in his previous division, the individual known as Islam Makhachev had been kind of out of opponents, if we're being honest. You know, he had kind of, for the more or less, gone through the division. I know some people are going to bring up Elliot Supporter moving up and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But listen, as far as who was in that division at that time, he had kind of gone through it. Now, with that being said, the individual that he's going to face, Jack Della Maddalena, I always mispronounce the last name. I personally don't have super high regards for it. That's not to be disrespectful. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I just personally, I don't have him very high up on the list of great fighters. Yes, he beat Belal, and, you know, let's be honest. Belal isn't the greatest fighter either. If you look at a couple of his wins that he's had before that, he beat on the down streak Gilbert Burns, which, listen, I personally used to have Gilbert Burns high up on my, you know, streak of great fighters, but unfortunately, you know, we got to be honest, Gilbert Burns been going downhill. So in this particular fight, I am favoring Islam Makhachev. Now I know he's moving on up, first chance in this particular division, all that good stuff. But I've actually seen recent videos of Islam Makhachev, not even really training. You know, he's been playing soccer, he's been going for a swim out in his native land, all that good stuff. You know, just regular videos that the dude posts on his Instagram and stuff like that. He looks good. And what I mean by that is, yes, he's clearly beefier than he was in his previous division. So I think he's going to be able to handle the weight well. I think the fact that Jack is not the greatest fighter works in the favor of Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev was a phenomenal fighter, obviously, in his division. And I think that's all going to work in the favor of Islam. You know, I took a look at the division to see if there's anyone that I could point and be like, oh, that's the guy that's going to beat Islam Makhachev, because of not just they're comfortable at the weight, but they've been at that particular division for a while. I'll be honest with you, man, it's actually not the greatest division. Don't get me wrong, there's some notable names on there, like the Kamaru Usman and whatnot. But, I mean, Ian Gary's like number 6, I believe. Yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie to you. Taking a look at I was hoping to find someone on there and be like, oh, this is the fight that I want to see. But it's not the greatest division. And listen, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to any of the people on that list, but there's no one where I could outright say that's the guy to do it right there. I mean, if I'm gonna be honest with you, Kamaru Usman's the only name that I could really put out there. Kamaru Usman has great wrestling. As good as Islam? I don't know. I would say that the striking of Usman would be better, even though Usman's not a striker. He's a wrestler. But the only reason I say that is because he's had some wars with some big-name punchers. Not so much a big puncher, Colby Covington, but he did break the jaw of Colby Covington, which I loved, by the way. Street Jesus, I can't remember his name right now because he's been retired for a while now. Masvidal, he beat Masvidal. Masvidal was a known striker, although not, in my eyes, one of the best fighters. So I would have to pick Kamaru Usman. But listen, man, some people are going to say, oh, there's some sharks. I mean, I guess technically there's some decent names on there, but I don't think anyone's that I would be like, oh, that guy's for sure going to beat Islam. I don't think Jack Della Maddalena is that guy. I don't think he's that guy to be able to just outright wrestle, outright crack, outright defeat Islam Makhachev. With all due respect, I mean, sure, he has some decent names, but there was no one particular win could be like where I could say, man, that was a phenomenal win by Jack. Man, that win stunned. That was great. He's beat people. Okay. That's really about it. Whereas Islam, phenomenal wins over a lot of big names, a lot of phenomenal names in this previous division. So listen, man, I'm going to pick Islam to win. Yes, again, I know, moving up in weight, blah, blah, blah. It just the competition isn't deep enough for me to think that the weight's going to make that big of a difference, especially because, again, Islam has been looking good at this beefier weight class now that he's been having to cut less. So we'll see what happens, man. Again, me personally, I'm picking Islam right now. I would need to see something phenomenal by Jack for me to think he's going to be able to beat him. And I'm not saying it's not possible. It's definitely possible. But likely? I don't think it's likely. What do you think about that, my man?
Listen, I do think what you're saying is that has some merit. The fact that both of these resumes kind of tell a tape of where these guys, the trajectory of their difficulty of their opponents is going to lead to their success later down the line. Where Islam Makhachev in the division that he's just recently left to go up to welterweight, again, he's fought Charles Oliveira, he's fought Dustin Poirier, he's fought Alexander Volkanovski twice. Again, the only questionable win that I would say, and I'm like, to be fair, that's a fair point that people would be questioning it, is that he didn't look the greatest, or at least he didn't put away Renato Moicano, considering that Moicano was a late replacement for Arman Tsarukyan, which there's already allegations that Islam was ducking it. I think they're kind of unfounded. But the fact of the matter is, he has maybe one questionable win on his record in that he should have put Moicano out for a lot earlier in the fight than he should have. Whereas I look at Jack Della Maddalena's resume as it stands right now, and again, putting away Bilal, which again, I'll give him credit for. He beat a champion level opponent, but being a fan of Bilal is, the barrier for entry for being a fan of Bilal Muhammad is you kind of have to play devil's advocate. Like if you say you're a Bilal Muhammad fan, you're already going to get some weird side eyes already at the fact of that. So the respect, unfortunately, for Bilal Muhammad as defeating him as an opponent, it doesn't really net you a whole lot. And we already talked about Durinho, I forgot his name. I'm sorry. Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns has already been on a downturn as of late. And again, the last opponent that he had of note that Jack Della Maddalena beat was Kevin Holland. And again, credit to Kevin Holland. He's a competent fighter. I wouldn't say he's an elite level fighter. So already there's 3 questionable wins on Jack Della Maddalena's resume. And keep in mind, Bilal Muhammad, not only do you have to be a devil's advocate to even be a fan of his, but the fact is, Bilal Muhammad, that was his last actual good fight. So let me get this straight. If we're already saying off the bat that Bilal Muhammad isn't really that respectable of a fighter, and his greatest match was against Jack Della Maddalena, what does that tell you about Jack Della Maddalena as a fighter in person? If the people are saying Bilal Muhammad isn't a respectable fighter, he's a boring fighter, he doesn't really have anything, all he has is just boring leg humping, wrestling, whatever, and he was able to put up a fight with Jack Della Maddalena, that kind of tells me the level of a fighter that Jack Della Maddalena is. And it kind of tells me that as far as the welterweight division goes, their bank of fighters is kind of wanting for the most part, if we're going to keep it all. It's kind of a sparse division. Again, we've had Kamaru Usman at the top for the longest time, and when he fell down, there was a huge power vacuum, and weirdly enough, nobody was able to take it. We've been kind of sparse in the welterweight division for a long while. Meanwhile, the division that Islam came from was full of sharks, and he was the absolute king of it. So you're telling me between all these, you're thinking it's going to be competitive between the two? I just don't see. The math isn't mathing for me. That's why I'm personally going to put my bank on Islam Makhachev taking this for the welterweight title.
Listen, man, I'll read to you guys the names in the division. Ranked number 1, Bilal Muhammad. Bilal Muhammad has already said he's not going to fight Islam. They're buddies. They've trained together, all that good stuff. So we're writing that off right off the bat. Number 2, Sean Brady. I don't see him beating Islam. Shavkat Rakhmonov. It actually just came out, I believe, a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks. He's injured again, and he's going to be out for, I believe, it was said 9 months. Which Shavkat Rakhmonov is prone for that. So we're writing that right off the bat. Leon Edwards, listen, man, I like Rocky. Seems like a nice dude. I like the fact that he put away Colby again. Is he going to beat Islam? I don't think he's going to beat Islam, man. He just doesn't have that fire like Islam does. To finish, Kamaru Usman, the one name that I said maybe, but listen, this is an aging Kamaru Usman. Most recent win against Joaquin Buckley, which he looked good in it. Don't get me wrong. He looked absolutely good in it. But good enough to beat Islam? I don't know. After that, Ian Machado Gary. Listen, man, we've made our feelings about Ian Gary very well known. The man is a little bit of an embarrassment. But listen, regardless, besides the point, is he going to beat Islam? Definitely not. Then we have the guy that I just mentioned, Joaquin Buckley, who got beat by Kamaru Usman like a month and a half ago, not that long ago. Michael Morales, not going to beat Islam. Carlos Perates, I would be surprised if there was even a decent fight there. How this man is still ranked in the top 10, I have no idea. The last notable win he got, I believe, was in 2022, 3 years ago. Colby Covington. I don't know how he's still ranked in there, and so on and so forth, man. Listen, there's no names here that stick out to me that say that's gonna be the guy. And don't get me wrong, I think Islam will face all of these guys. Just to say, hey, look, I cleared out this division. Are there any fights on there that I'm excited about? Not really, man. There's a lot of aging fighters in there. There's a lot of, in my opinion, untested fighters in there, the Ian Garys of the world. Again, Colby Covington, let's be real. When's the last time dude had any sort of a real fight and even looked good in any of his last couple fights? There's no one on there that really excites me. So do I think Jack is going to be the guy to beat Islam? Nah, man. I think Islam moved up. If you want to look dominant, if you want to look good, if you want to say, hey, look, here's another title, and I'm dominating the division, he picked a good time, man, because I feel like the division is weak. But listen, we'll see how it goes, man. Again, you never know. That's the one cool thing about MMA. That's the one cool thing about boxing is we may believe everything's in one particular person's favor, but one perfectly placed punch, man, can be the end of the whole fight. So we'll see how it goes. It'll be interesting either way to see what happens. It'll be interesting to see if Islam can capture a second title, different division, beating his mentor in Habib. So we'll see how it goes, man. And with that, make sure to like, comment, hate, subscribe, DM us about the bullshit, and
Until next time, get rest and stay blessed. We'll see you in the next one.